My name is Tom Wajda, and my rank was Major. Well, we started out, it was the third mission to Berlin. Hitler had boasted that Berlin was never be bombed. And of course, the typical Americans, we decided to make a liar out of him. So I was on the third mission to Berlin. I was on the first and third. The one in between, the second, was flown by another group. So I was twice, and the second time over Berlin, we were hit by anti-aircraft fire, which hit one of our engines. We started back on 3 engines and eventually lost the second. Now the B-24 will fly quite well on 3 engines, but on 2 it doesn't do too much. So we had to lose altitude to keep airspeed and keep the thing flying. So when we got to the North Sea coast, we were so low that we knew we couldn't make it across. So we all bailed out. And I never saw the rest of the crew until we got back home. So I was kind of a loner. I think all of us were loners. And to a certain extent, the Belgian people, which is where we came down, helped us out. But then among the group of those that helped were traitors who turned us in. And I eventually got into the hands of one of those and was turned into the Germans. End the story. From there on, prison camp and the hitchhike home. Very fortunate in a way, because it was the camp that the Germans kept in good order, because the Swiss inspected that camp to make sure that the Germans were living up to the Geneva Convention, which for that camp they were, but for others they were not. And from what I've heard afterward, they did not have it as well as we did. So to that extent, we were lucky to be in a camp that was inspected. A typical day, boredom. Absolute, total boredom. We had nothing to do, nowhere to go. We were enclosed by barbed wire, and it wasn't much fun. Yes, once in a while there would be what we call a mail call, and that's when they distributed the mail that had accumulated in Switzerland. And I did get a couple of letters while I was there.
So your family knew you were alive, but you were being held as a prisoner?
Oh yes.
Okay.
They were notified, not immediately, but in time they were notified that I was alive and in prison camp.